All right. Just putting in some content for the live stream to be promoted on Facebook. So bear with me 1 second tonight. All right. Let's go like this, and all right. Bada boom, bada bing. All right, cool. So I officially have it promoted out on Facebook, and so we'll see how this live stream develops for this evening. It's actually kind of fun to officially and finally launch my live stream. It's been a little bit of a work in progress. I finally got a mic set up, and I got some other stuff set up for it. Yeah. So hold on 1 second. All right. Cool. It's funny because I can actually watch the delay with some stuff. Yeah. But hey, hello, my. It's always nice to have your mom as one of your first people in the chat there. So, hi. Yeah, Zach just had to come in and ask me a quick question. But yeah, so if you want, as you start watching this, and if you have a question or something of that nature, then I can definitely answer it. Just put it in the chat box. Or if you watch this later, make sure to comment on the video, and then I'll make sure to respond to those comments. Tonight I did put in that I do have a couple of kind of business-ish related topics to go over. One of them having to do with web hosting and websites, and that's really for anybody who is thinking about starting their own blog, even if it's just for fun. It's really good information to have to understand the concepts between web hosting, domain names, and so forth. And then I figured anything else that comes into play, or any other questions or topics, we can kind of go on a little bit of a tangent for those. And I am, so how I currently have it set up is I actually have 3 screens. And so if you see me look over to my right or left, or your right or left, it's really, what I'm doing is taking a look at maybe some comments that came in via Facebook, or that came into the live chat here on YouTube. So these live streams will be anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes to however long they go, as long as the information's good, and there's value provided for you all. Like for example, right now it shows that there's 2 people watching, which is better than none. But it's going, over the next few days, weeks, and months, this is going to be something that's going to be a work in progress and slowly morph and develop into something larger, I hope. And it's really the main purpose is, 1, to connect with people, but 2, to have a little bit of fun and going over different ideas and stuff, primarily around entrepreneurship and leadership and that type of stuff. And if there's, at times, there's ways that I can help provide great information on how you can start live streaming, or if you want to start your own YouTube channel, my hope is that I'll be able to start assisting you with that. And just give a little bit, right now, I'm going to kind of rotate this down a little bit. And so you can actually see that that I actually do have a mic set up here that with it's an official YouTuber type setup, and then I do have some very basic lighting. And believe it or not, this whole arm that I'm using, which you really can't see, it was actually really inexpensive, and you can find them on Amazon pretty cheap. Like I think I might have spent $16 or $18 on it. And if you want to know more about it, just just comment, and I can try to make sure to share that information with you as well. But yeah, if you look on Amazon for like vlog mics or something of that nature, it'll pop up with a whole bunch of options for it. Just double checking here over on nothing coming in on Facebook, so that's okay. I do have the hope to eventually have do some live streaming on Facebook as well. I actually have a setup specifically set for it, and eventually I'll be able to do them simultaneously or simulcasting, which will prove to be quite fun. But yeah, so one of the topics I had for today was just talking about web hosting and how you can get your own blog or website set up, and not so much of how to set it up, but what is the difference between a web host and that domain name. So something like www.yourblog or yourbusinessname.com. And not a lot of people really understand that there's a difference between a domain and web hosting. And so my hope is to essentially clarify that a little bit. And what it is, think of web hosting as being your house, okay, or it just being a building. And a domain name, the www.whatever.com, is actually the address. So, or, for those of you that have worked with blank property, it's like a parcel number. It's some way that people know where to go, and there's a lot more tech detail behind that, because believe it or not, that domain name translate into a way that the servers and the internet knows how to communicate with different hardware and software throughout the web. But your web host is essentially the shell of a house. And so there are different providers, just like there's different builders out there. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, some of them are kind of just, they can go one way or another depending on, at what point in time you're purchasing hosting from them in their business cycle. And so there are a lot of different companies out there similar to GoDaddy, Namecheap, Network Solutions, and those type of companies that will provide you web hosting for really cheap. There's another company, Bluehost, and a whole bunch more. Now, one of the things to keep in mind with web hosting and stuff is that you really do get what you pay for. If you're paying a really low amount, let's say $3 or $4 a month, you're most likely on what they call a shared hosting plan. And what that is, it's basically like an apartment building. And so what these web hosting companies do to make the prices so cheap is they will actually oversell the capacity ability of a server, because most people aren't going to use the peak amount of resources. And a lot of times the terms of service will actually be worded in a way that if you have a lot of site utilization, that really you have no guarantee that the server will be at a certain level or show your blog or website to people on a reliable level. And that's where you get into where really you need to budget if you're starting even a basic blog. If you're blogging about cooking, or blogging just about anything that is your passion, you want to make sure to do your due diligence on the web hosting company. Now, for me as a business, and for which is called Selkirk Labs, there's particular providers that I work with that I myself am very familiar with the technology that they're using, very, very familiar on what they're able to actually deliver. And so I have specific recommendations. And if you want those, feel free to reach out to me directly, and I'll give you the direct recommendations and kind of how that relationship works with myself as well, because there's things out there called resellers and stuff, which on certain projects and certain instances, primarily for small businesses, there's some very good ways to provide added value on top of web hosting. So again, connect with me in another way, and I'll be more than willing to share kind of how I operate and how I recommend to my clients to operate, and what that looks like. But really back into the web hosting overall, whether you're starting a basic blog or a small business website, you really, and I know I'll probably get a little bit of flack for this, but you really need to budget between $50 to about $35 a month minimum, very minimum, depending on what your long-term intention is for your website. More realistically, if you have a small business, whether you're selling something online, whether you're just a solopreneur, as they like to call them, where it's just essentially a couple products that you sell or services, to get the added security and to be in where you can rest assured that your website's going to be there when a potential customer is going to come to it, you really want to be up in that $50 range. And there's a few more reasons of why that is, but the real important reason is if you think about it, when you open up a storefront, you don't necessarily want to open it up in, let's say, a bad side of town or something like that. If you have a boutique or you have a business that is your blood, sweat, and tears have went into it, you want to be able to know that you made it look nice, that it's secure, that when you aren't actively involved with it, it's going to be there for your clients to see. And really having a higher end web hosting provider is key to that, because even if you think about $50 or $60 a month as a small business, that site is going to be where you generate a lot of revenue, whether it's clients finding you or actually selling products or services on that. Now, as a blogger, $15, $25 range is more realistic, but as you grow, you're going to want to get up into those higher ranges, and you want to make sure that you're with a reputable hosting company, that when your site is out there, that it's going to be available. And one of the things that gets overlooked a lot in shared hosting environments is that there's no service level agreement or an SLA with them. So if your site goes down, or let's say that there was another person on that had maybe a not really appropriate website, or they were hacked or something, it can potentially affect everybody that has information stored on that server. And it's not so much from the data standpoint, but from utilization. And what that looks like is if you have a certain amount of power that's available and you overload it with the amount of potential people that could use that power, and then everybody used the most, or one person really went all out and they decided that they need more, more resources than they have, more horsepower, you're kind of at the mercy of it. Whereas with those higher end hosting providers, you are pretty much guaranteed that there's an allotment of resources, that the system is not being oversold, and that you essentially get what you pay for. And there's a lot of support that goes along with it. But yeah, so hopefully that makes sense on what the difference is between a domain and web hosting, and why web hosting really, the discount hosting providers is not where you want to host something that you spend any amount of time and passion investing into. It's great for very, very, very beginner, like for a stopgap as you're trying to learn more of where your passion is leading you. I mean, if it's a website for, let's say, 10 or 20 of your closest friends to look at occasionally, then yeah, discount provider is great. But if it's something that where you really want to build an audience, it's more important to invest a little bit of money, and it will save you a long time. I talked to a lot of clients that for example, their WordPress site gets hacked because there wasn't security done correctly on the servers, and there's all these other things that can happen. And a lot of times with those higher end hosting providers, they will provide a level of support that, for example, the company that I work with, they provide a anti-hacker guarantee. So if your site is hacked, at their cost, they'll work to fix it. So, yeah, that's really one of the topics I had for tonight. Tonight or whenever you're seeing this. The next live stream video is most likely going to be on Monday, unless have one kind of come up beforehand. This one is meant to be more laid back. Hey, Dean, how you doing? Hey, we got tuning in from Indiana. Yeah, so and I appreciate you tuning in there, Uncle Dean. It's really awesome. This is something that's been on my mind for a long time to go ahead and launch into, and so now that it's officially happening, it's exciting, and exciting that you guys are sharing in the journey at the beginning and where it potentially could go. So I'm not sure if you were in for the whole thing, but yeah, it's my hope is now, as these live streams start building on it, that we'll definitely cover a breadth of topics. Definitely not all business. And my hope is that we're going to have some funny ones too, where it's just, there's going to be not, where they're not always going to be a live stream. They're going to be a pre-recorded video or something like that, where we'll have a little bit that, kind of a little punny, like I like to call it. And then we'll have other ones that are a little bit more serious, but the basic of it all is to provide good information on how you can grow in your passion. So whether you're blogging, whether you have some tech questions that you like answered, it's meant to be a two-way interaction, and continue to build and morph to be able to serve your guys' needs. So yeah, thank you both for tuning in, or staying with me on this. The next video, I'm hoping to gradually turn this into a daily live stream, or at least 2 to 3 times a week minimum. And then the other videos would be put in on a schedule in between those. This one I wanted to be a little bit more casual, laid back, and just make it more of, hey, I'm testing out some of the tools that I have and some of the software to see how it operates, but also to kind of just give that initial introduction. Like, after I get done with this, I have to work on the thumbnail for this video and those type of things. And as I fine-tune these first 5 live streams or so, we'll see where and how everything develops moving forward. But I'll leave it open if you guys have any questions or anything that you want to ask. I want to ask about Selkirk Labs. Want to ask about basically anything web related or tech related. Go ahead and shoot in the chat window, and or if you're watching this later, leave a comment below. And yeah, I'll leave it open for a second here to allow you guys to enter something if you want. Other than that, really, we can this is going to be one of the shorter videos. I mean, 20 minutes is still a substantial video amount, but hopefully it's some good basic information on the introduction kind of web and what is a starting point or a starting resource that you come across a lot with vlogging or blogging or starting some type of product or service-based website. And while I'm letting that run, I am double checking some other streams to see how we're doing over there. But yeah, so in that case, well, oh, yeah, there is no Facebook Live yet. That is just a link to come over to YouTube. Facebook Live streaming will not happen for a while. I need to get honed in on the YouTube side. I am using a software that will allow me, and later I'll actually be able to do some live tutorials. And what will happen with that is I can actually go between screens and show you a little bit more and do some walkthroughs on some different things as well. But yeah, live stream is not up yet, and multicasting or simulcasting is something I need to work on in the future, but I first need to start here. So, but yeah, so if you're not seeing it over there, it's definitely okay. Nothing's wrong. But yeah, unless you guys have anything else, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this live stream up and then start working on planning out the next one. It's probably going to be closer to Tuesday for the next live stream. I'm going to shoot for Monday, but being that it's a holiday, there might be some other stuff. So the only thing that was on Facebook was a post about this live stream. And this live stream is running natively on YouTube, so I had just posted to my Facebook page, or did the Facebook post that, hey, you can click on it and it will direct you over here to YouTube. Which I think if I'm looking over there, yeah, basically if you go to my Facebook page, it's just the last post that I did, and it was the link to this. Hey, yeah. So I'm going to leave the chat up, but the video itself is going to wrap up. I'm going to stay in here for just a little bit longer if you guys want to connect. But other than that, you guys can chat back and forth if you want. Otherwise, you might want to connect on or do a direct message on Facebook, because this one, the chat, I think, will be kind of archived for within the YouTube Live platform. I need to look a little bit more on that, but yeah. So, well, thank you very much for tuning in today, and if you're tuning in later when it's not live, a comment or shoot me a direct message or connect with me on Facebook or on other platforms. And yeah, I look forward to our next live stream. Hope you all have a wonderful day.